Hi everyone, thanks for watching. I'm Lauren from Guthrie and Ganny, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you a summary of all the amazing new fabrics that have arrived into my shop, Guthrie and Ganny, which is where I am just now during the month of September. So I like to just do these roundups at the end of the month to just give you a chance to sort of summarise all the new things that are coming in. It's generally a very busy time of year for lots of new fabrics arriving into the shop. So if you're looking for some autumn and winter fabric and pattern inspiration, then you're in the right place. There's so many beautiful fabrics to share with you in this video. So what I've done is made a blog post that goes alongside the video, and in there you will find linked all of the fabrics that I mentioned. So if you're looking for a specific fabric that I talk about in the video, then the blog post is the best place to find it, and the link to that will be in the description to this video. But you can also just generally browse the just arrived section of our website as well, where the very latest fabrics will be there, and we're having new fabrics arriving every week, so there is always lots of fresh ideas and inspiration coming your way. So I've grouped the fabrics together by type, so we've got a little bit of a mixture of different woven ones and stretchy jersey ones as well, and some really like thick, cozy, wintry ones, and then some sort of lighter weight ones as well. So there's lots and lots of variety. The other thing that I want to mention before I get stuck into actually showing you the fabrics is that depending on when you're watching this video, some of them might show as out of stock, but we are replenishing our stock all of the time, and we have a stock notification system on the website as well. So if something is out of stock, then you can just enter in how much you would ideally like and leave your email address, and then we can let you know when it's available again. It helps us when we're reordering the quantity of fabric as well, if we roughly sort of know how much people are requesting and what they would like. So the first ones that I'm going to start with are woven ones, and they're really chunky and warm, and basically it's kind of like two fabrics in one, because both types of them are kind of come lined already, as you'll see. So this first one here is a beautiful sort of plaid check. So on one side you can see it's got this lovely checked pattern on it here, which is woven into the fabric. It comes in 3 colourways. I do know at the moment we're sold out of one of them, but it is something that we're going to be getting again. And then on the reverse, it's got this really amazing fluffy furry back, which feels so soft. So I would say the fabric generally, you know, it feels fairly sort of substantial. You will still be able to just sew it on a regular sewing machine. I would say for finishing off the seam allowances, either an overlocker if you've got it, or it might be that you want to add binding onto them if you want to conceal the raw edges that way. So all of the 3 colourways have the same sort of darker grey colour on the reverse, but then just a different colour within that check on the front. Now, similar type of fabric, but as you'll see a little bit different, is this range of fur-backed cord fabrics. So last month, regular viewers might remember that we had the bubble cord. So that was a slightly different type of fabric, but it had a furry back as well. This one's a little bit different in that you can see that the width of the cords on it vary slightly. So there's a sort of thicker one, and then there's a narrow one as well, but kind of the same as the bubble cords and the same as that plaid fur backed one as well, is that it's basically like 2 layers of fabric bonded together. So on the back you've got this lovely cozy fleecy bag. Now the backing is, we've got different colours of the cord, but then the back is always that sort of kind of I guess sort of creamy, beigey, ecru sort of colour on the back. Now, in terms of what to actually make with these fabrics, I've seen some really lovely versions of the Friday Pattern Company Ilford jacket. The only thing that you might have to sort of adapt a little bit is if you choose to do the placket option with the cuff. And I would suggest maybe just using a regular cotton, like a medium weight cotton. It could be like a nice little contrast at the placket there, because I think it's probably a bit too thick to do a placket. Or you could just do like the regular sort of hemmed version as well. I've seen some really lovely versions of little gilet style jackets as well. And all of those jackets that were were like a popular trend, that were all sort of quilted. There's quite a few different ones out there now, like the Meg Nielsen Hovia is one example of them. But all of those style of jackets I think would work really nicely with this type of fabric as well. It's just going to be so super cozy and warm, and just it's got such lovely autumn winter vibes. So yeah, some really nice colourways in both of those fabrics. The last one that I'm going to show you in my little sort of introductory woven fabric category is one that's kind of like a little bit on its own, but it's really cool, very unusual. It's on this big heavy roll here. So it's basically a denim. It's the velvet striped denim fabric, and it is mostly cotton. It's 70 cotton, 23 polyester. And then it's got a little bit of elastane and a little bit of viscose in it as well. So it does have some stretch to it. Now you can see that it's basically got these stripes on it, and they are like velvet, and these stripes, they feel so smooth and soft, and they do have a nab. So if you're making something out of this fabric, then I would make sure that as you cut your pattern pieces out, as you smooth the fabric down, it feels nice and soft. So it feels nice and soft in this direction as opposed to this one. So then you'd be wanting to make sure that the top of your pattern pieces were at this side. So you just have to feel that as you're cutting out. But I think that would make an awesome pair of trousers. It would make a really nice little jacket or a kind of blazer style as well. You can make a skirt with it too. So you know, it does have like a fairly decent sort of thickness and weight to it. And I just think it's really unusual and cool. I think for a pair of trousers where you want them to sort of look a bit smarter, a bit fancier, it would be really, really nice. So yeah, that's a little bit more of an unusual one. But if you like denim, then a good option. Now, the next category of fabrics that I'm going to show you are all jersey and sort of knitted and stretch fabrics. They vary in thickness, and some are better suited to certain projects than others. So I'll sort of point you in the right direction as and when we come to them. So first up is this one here, which is the marl knitted fabric. It comes in quite a few really beautiful colours as well, and they're all called marl because it's like they're not a solid colour. There's kind of tones within the colour here. This particular one here is the peppermint, and you know, you can see when I hold up, it's not a flat colour. It does just have different tones and shades in it, which is really nice. Now the special thing about this fabric is it basically looks like it's been knitted. It looks like stocking stitch. For any knitters that are out there, then you'll know what I mean when I say stocking stitch. And when you make something with this, it will effectively be like a bit of a trick, because it could look like you have knitted it. I would say probably finishing it off with an overlocker is a good idea, just to prevent it sort of unraveling and kind of fraying, because it is quite a looser sort of knit. You can see that it's quite floppy. It's nice and sort of snuggly. It's kind of fuzzy a little bit. And I think this would work really nicely for a cardigan. I feel like I generally don't really have that sensitive skin, but I feel like probably if you were wearing this, you'd want to wear a layer underneath it. So if you did make a jumper with it, for example, I would suggest wearing like a long sleeve top underneath it. Or if you're making a cardigan, then obviously you would have a layer on underneath it anyway. But I think it would be lovely as a True Buys Marlowe cardigan. I actually also think that it would look really cool as it kind of like a tank top or sort of sweater vest as well. I think that would look really nice too. Or, you know, any sort of classic cardigan pattern. You know, I'm saying that the True Buys Marlowe, but obviously there's lots of others out there as well. So yeah, I think that would be a really lovely one, and I'm sure you could fool plenty of people thinking that you've knitted it when you've actually sewn it. It's just a really lovely, little bit more of an unusual stretchy type of fabric. And then the next one that I've got, I'm going to stick with the ones that are the one that's most closely sort of similar to that one. This one's knitted as well, but it's kind of got like a finer stitch to it, so I suppose it looks like a bit more of a sort of all over colour. You can't really see the stitch definition as much, but you can see that there is a lot of colour and texture in this one as well. So this is the Forest Blended Knit fabric. It's a cotton polyester mix. It doesn't have any elastane in it, so the stretch in this fabric is coming from the fact that it's been knitted. Again, I would say it's sort of fairly floppy. It doesn't hold its shape or structure too much, but it feels nice and soft in the back. It's kind of brushed a little bit, and that's what the back looks like there. Do you know, I actually think arguably you could use the back of this as the right side of the fabric as well. It actually looks quite nice and has some colour tones in it that you don't see from the other side. It's got some little sort of orangey colour tones in it too. So yeah, it's another really lovely one, again for cardigans and sort of looser fitting jumpers, sort of oversized jumpers. I think that would be really, really lovely. And it comes in two colourways, so this forest one, and then there's a sort of rusty kind of coloured one as well. And then sticking with the stretch, and I'll stick with ones that are like a little bit thicker. This next one here is our cotton double fleece fabric. So this particular fabric here is the sea glass colourway. It is 100% cotton, but as you can see, it does have a bit of stretch in it here, so it's a two-way stretch, so the stretch is happening at 90 degrees to the selvage here, and it basically looks the same on both sides. It doesn't really have a wrong or right side. It feels really soft. I think it's lovely, and I think it would suit those style of jumpers, you know, where they've got the sort of collar and they have a zip at the neckline. Or you could make like a full zip up. The Freddie Pattern Company Arlo Track, for example, would be a nice option for that one. You could make jumpers with it as well, and sweaters. So I would probably just combine it with maybe like a contrasting ribbing. If you were making like an actual jumper pattern, like the Tilling the Buttons Billy or something, you would need something that's got a bit more stretch and recovery for the neck bands and the hem bands. But something like the Soho 7 Toaster, I think, would be nice in that as well. It's going to hold its structure just a little bit more. And again, it comes in a selection of really lovely, more sort of like muted colours. It's kind of marled as well. I wouldn't say it's like a solid flat colour. It does have some really nice tones and textures and depth in it. Now, the next ones that I've got are probably starting to look a little bit more like classical, more sort of like sweatshirting fabric, fleece bag sweatshirting fabric. So we've had a little range of these new marled ones again. Seems to be quite a theme that things are sort of marled. I think it's just nicer that you can get something plain but it doesn't look flat. It's just got a bit more depth to it when it has that marl in it. Again, so this one does come in a few different colours here. It's the rose pink marl fleecy sweatshirt fabric. And again, it's a mixture of cotton polyester. It does have a bit of elastane. It's mostly cotton. And I would say this is definitely in a more heavier weight category of sweatshirting. So the GSM on this one is 340, which is, you know, it's fairly sort of thick and hefty. So you can see, even though it's got elastane, it doesn't have a huge amount of stretch in it, but you would still classify it as a stretchy fabric. It feels so soft on the back. It's really fleecy, so it's been brushed quite a lot. And yeah, it just looks really lovely, really lovely colour tones in that one again. So you know, jumpers, you could make cardigans with it too. And sweaters, hoodies are all going to be lovely. You could make it jogging bottoms with it as well. I think that would be nice too. And then again, sticking with the more sort of sweatshirt theme of things, is this one here, which has got another fur back to it, but I would say it's lighter. When we talk about the fur backs of those woven ones I showed you in the beginning, this is definitely a more sort of subtle, less lofty fur back one. So you can see on one side, it does just look like quite a plain, flat sweatshirting fabric. But then on the back, it's got this really lovely, plush, fluffy fur back, which feels really soft. And I think it looks really luxurious. This would be gorgeous as a hoodie, or again, one of those jumpers where it's got like the zip up at the neck. And maybe you could almost like contrast it, so parts of your garment had this on the outside, and then, you know, the rest of it was like just the main kind of outer fabrics. Really lovely, and again comes in quite a few different colorways as well. So I love that one too. Okay, the next one is actually a fabric that we've had before, but we've got a couple of new colorways of it. So the bolt is quite big, which is just an indication of how hefty and lofty and snuggly this fabric is. And it is our snuggly fleece back organic cotton sweatshirting. So it's pretty heavy as well. It is 370 GSM. So this is the sort of ivory colour. Yeah, we've called it ivory. And our other new colour is like a kind of purpley colour too. But we do have it in some other colours that we've had, you know, we've been carrying for a while. So these are just like new additions to the range. So as you can see, it is pretty thick, it's pretty heavy. It's definitely like in our heaviest weight sweatshirting category. It does have stretch, but again, not a huge amount. And it's just going to generally hold its sort of shape and structure a little bit more. So patterns where you want that sort of definition or that volume held in the garment, this is going to be really good for that. It feels so soft and snuggly on the back as well. Honestly, it's just gorgeous. It'd be very comforting to wear, very cozy and snuggly. So yeah, just nice to see a few little colorways in that. I wish I could wear a color like this, but as I've got 2 small children, it would just end up stained in no time at all. So still got a few jerseys left to show you, but moving into ones that are a little bit lighter weight now. So the first one that I've got is this one here, which is a ribbed jersey. This is our Heather particular colourway, narrow rib knit fabric. It's a viscose polyester mix. It's really super stretchy because it's got the viscose in it. You can see that it's quite floppy. So it's, you know, it's not going to hold its structure. It's going to sort of move around a little bit more and kind of hang really nicely. It is very, very stretchy, so good for garments that are a little bit more fitted. It would make a lovely turtleneck style top or a more sort of fitted top, but also would look nice as a garment where the fit is a little bit more oversized or looser, because it will just hang really, really nicely. It feels super soft. Again, this one's marled, so it's not a solid colour, but we do have some other really lovely colourways as well that are a little bit more solid. So like some classic ones with the black and the ivory, and then that lovely sort of tealy petrol colour, and then another kind of heathered one as well, marled one as well, that's not quite as solid in its colour. But yeah, it feels really, really snuggly, and it having that right next to your skin would feel really lovely and soft as well. So sticking with the rib theme, this next one here is ribbed again, and it's got more sort of like classic nautical vibes. This one, as you can see, this is the white stripe on navy rib knit cotton jersey fabric. So it's 95% cotton and it's 5% elastane. So because it's cotton, it feels like a little bit more stable. It's got more kind of body to it. We did have another similar fabric which had more viscose content in it, so it was really quite floppy. It was like a ribbed fabric as well with stripes, but because it had viscose in it, was much more floppy. Whereas this one just holds its structure and shape a lot more. It is pretty stretchy, as you can see, so making something that's fitted would be good because it's going to be able to stretch with that. But I think also something where it does just call for, where the fabric calls for something with a bit more structure to it, then I think it would be suitable for that too. So like a boat style neck, t-shirt, sort of jumper top style, like that new Friday Pattern Company, is it the bateau top, would be really nice, for example. You know, there's sort of other similar ones there too. And I think it's just, yeah, it's just a nice sort of denser, kind of textured, classic stripy fabric, and it does come in a few colorways as well. So that classic navy, and then there's like a pinky one and a sort of oatmeal-y one as well. And then onto the more sort of lighter weight jersey fabrics now. So if you're looking for something a bit more glitzy and glam, then this one is absolutely gorgeous. It comes in 3 different colorways. As you can see, it's very, very shimmery. It will be reflecting the light a lot. And this one is our Midnight Glitter Lurex viscose jersey fabric. So it's mostly viscose, and then it's got 25% lurex. So that's the shiny sort of thread that's like woven into the fabric, and then 5% elastane as well. So it is pretty lightweight. I'll just hold one layer up. It is almost like a little bit sort of see-through. I think it would be really nice for tops like the Friday Pattern Company Adrian. You know, it's got those beautiful sort of balloon sleeves that just sit really nicely in a fabric that is much more lightweight. I think that would be gorgeous. It's very, very stretchy as well. I think you probably could make a dress with it too. It might just be depending on the style of dress you make that you feel like you want to line it, and I would line it with a lightweight jersey. So we do a range of just regular plain tencel jerseys, which I think would match the texture and drape of this really nicely, and then I think that would work really nicely as a dress to line it. I think if you were making something that was quite full in the skirt as a dress, or it was gathered, then you might feel like you can get away with it. But if something a bit more fitted, you might feel like you wanted to line it. But yeah, that's something a little bit more fancy and kind of glam. And then we've also had quite a big range of lots of different types of patterned viscose jersey. Now these types of jerseys are really, really good for things like a classic wrap dress, can be quite good for work, like the Cashmere Appleton, for example. So over it, we've got some really nice jersey dresses as well that I think these would all be suitable for. So because they're viscose, they're a bit lighter weight and they're quite floppy and they've got a lot of drape. They are nice and stretchy as well, and they come in various different patterns and various different colorways as well. So there's quite a big selection. I've brought some of the bolts over here to show you, but I'll show you a range of them in the little video clips as well. This one here I think is really nice. I think that would make a lovely dress if you were wanting something that was maybe a little bit smarter for work. This one is the monochrome etched jungle viscose jersey fabric. So yeah, you can see that it's fairly floppy, it's fairly lightweight, it's moving around a lot, and it is really lovely and stretchy as well. And then this is another really lovely one, which is more navy, if you prefer that. The other ones that I was showing you just there were black. This one feels really lovely and soft. Again, they're all viscose jersey, with that lovely lightweight drapey texture. And then the other one that I had brought over to show you, this one is also viscose elastane, and it comes in a couple of colorways as well. There's just a little bit more color in this one. The other ones seem to be more sort of two-toned, but this one's got a little bit more color in it. So yes, some really beautiful patterned jerseys there. You can definitely make t-shirts and tops with them as well, but I do think that they would make really, really beautiful dresses. And then finally, after all the jerseys, we are on to the woven fabrics. And as you can see on the rolls behind me here, I've got a really beautiful selection of various different types of printed woven viscose fabric. So these types of fabrics are really good for dresses and blouses and tops. They're all, they're all lighter weight viscose. They've got lots of drape and movement, work really nice for details like gathers and little pin tucks and pleats. All of those sorts of things look really nice. A mixture of some florals, as you can see, and then some more abstract ones too. So this one here, as you can see, has got a bit more of a sort of larger scale print, and it's quite abstract. I actually think this would look really nice maybe as like a long maxi skirt with just a really simple black t-shirt. I think that would be really nice. And I think it's probably like abstract enough that you wouldn't need to worry too much about pattern matching it. Really beautiful autumnal colours and shades in there. So that is just a plain weave viscose fabric. So it's just like a regular in and out weave. It means the surface of the fabric feels sort of quite smooth and flat, as opposed to some of the other viscoses that I'll show you, which are a mixture of crepe and twill. But I'll point that out when we get to it anyway. The next one we have in a couple of different colourways. Both are very, very autumnal. I would say one's got more sort of like cooler shades than the other. So this one is our earthy speckled viscose fabric here. It feels really lovely and soft. So it's a plain weave viscose as well, and got that lovely sort of swish and movement to it. And yeah, comes in two quite similar, but yeah, as you can see, it's subtly different color palettes there, but it's really nice abstract one. You definitely wouldn't need to be worrying about pattern matching with that one at all. And then this next one here, I think has also got really lovely autumnal vibes to it. This is the neon floral viscose fabric, and I think it's got a black background to it, and then these lovely sort of colourful blooms on it. It's a plain weave viscose as well, so feels really lovely and smooth and soft. And yeah, just really some gorgeous brighter tones. I think it's nice because the darker background makes it feel more seasonal, but then it is still quite bright if you generally like wearing bright colours. So I think that's a really lovely one to add a little pop of colour. This next one here comes in two different colourways. This is the pink one. It's the Artist Canvas Eco Vero viscose fabric, and it is a plain weave fabric, so again feels really lovely and soft. I would say it's got a pretty large scale kind of abstract design on it. I wouldn't be worrying about pattern matching anything like this. And then it does come in the other colorway as well, which is more sort of like a kind of like teals and greens. So this is definitely the warmer color palette, and then there's like a cooler color palette as well. But I think that's lovely, a really stunning one, and it feels gorgeous and super soft as well. Next two that I'm going to show you are viscose twill fabrics. So when they're viscose twill fabrics, it means that the way that the fabric's been woven is a twill weave, and that's when you look really closely at the surface of the fabric, you can kind of see like diagonal lines, or you can see like this diagonal texture on the fabric, and it usually means that it's a bit thicker or a bit heavier, so there's just like a little bit more weight to it. It does still drape and move around really nicely, just like regular viscose does, but yeah, it just, I personally think it feels a little bit more substantial when you're wearing it. And this is an absolutely gorgeous one. I love the bright pink color of this one. It's the magenta cheetah viscose twill fabric, and then we've got that same base cloth but in a different print as well, which is still got the magenta in it, but probably like less less abundant in the magenta than this one here, but I think this one is absolutely gorgeous. The colour's gorgeous, the texture's really nice, and I think that would make a stunning dress or even a jumpsuit as well. I think would be really nice. It's definitely not see-through at all, so you wouldn't really need to worry about lining it or anything like that. This next one that I've got has definitely got autumnal vibes to it as well, and it is the Autumnal Green Meadow Stretch Viscose Poplin. So all of the other ones that I was showing you, regardless of their weave, were all 100% viscose, but this one has 3% elastane in it. And when something's called a viscose poplin, it's still, this particular one's still a plain weave, but the word poplin just refers to it being a little bit thicker and heavier. So it will still drape, it will still move around, it's just got a bit more weight to it. The density and thickness of the fabric is a little bit more. And then because it's got elastane in it as well, it does have a little bit of stretch. Now you would still class it as a woven fabric, you would still sew it and treat it and use it with patterns that were for woven fabric. It would just mean that the garment that you made would just have like a little bit of extra give or a little bit of extra strength in it. But it's a really lovely fabric to work with. It's probably fractionally easier than the lighter weight viscose just because it does have a little bit more weight to it. It's just a little bit more substantial. So arguably a little bit easier to control, and yeah, I love this more sort of like greeny base palette with these beautiful autumnal shades on it. It's really, really lovely. This next one is a really lovely option if you aren't as keen on the florals and you want something in a viscose print that's not, you know, totally floral in your face. It's got a really beautiful sort of like very dark grey, kind of dark charcoaly midnight background with these lovely little, almost looks like stamped with the orange, and yeah, those little sort of flecks round about it. It's really, really nice. Now this one here is a viscose crepe. So a viscose crepe just has a different type of texture to it. It's like the yarns are almost like twisted a little bit as it's been woven. So it has almost like a little bit more of an irregular surface to it. It's not as kind of smooth and flat as plain weave viscose, which just gives it a little bit of extra depth. It still drapes and moves around really beautifully, and I think that would be a lovely option for a nice dress or a nice little blouse or top at this time of year as well. It's really, really, really pretty, and again, a lovely option if you're not as keen on the floral ones. And finally, the last one that I've got to show you isn't actually a printed viscose, but I've sort of lumped it with this category because it is just another printed woven fabric, and that was the category that it seemed to fit into the best. I absolutely love this one as well. I think it's really nice. Again, it's a non-floral option. It's lovely and abstract. It's got quite a sort of bigger scale to it. It is the Zen triangle cotton fabric. And I would say it's probably like a little bit heavier than a classic lawn weight, but it's not quite as heavy as a poplin. So I would still class it as more like a lightweight cotton fabric. It is going to hold its structure a little bit more. So if you want a garment to sort of hold its volume or hold its shape a little bit more, or you're making something that's got a detail like a button stand, like a button placket, a collar stand, a collar, it's all going to press really crisply and nicely and be really easy to work with as well. And I think this abstract pattern is just really, really beautiful. I think that would make a gorgeous top, a blouse, a dress, a skirt would all be really, really nice. And I love that sort of tone and that colour in it as well. I think it's beautiful. So that brings me to the end of all the fabrics that I wanted to share in this video. Believe it or not, I've not even included every single fabric that came in this month because there has just been so much, but hopefully it gives you more of a digestible sort of summary of lots of ideas of different types of fabric that you can use to make really lovely garments for yourself. So do remember that all the fabrics that I mention are linked in the blog post that goes with this video. The link to that is in the description. You can get all the fabrics online. We ship worldwide, and yeah, you can browse everything in our online shop. Or if you're able to come to Birmingham, then please do come and visit the shop. The G&G team and I are always more than happy to help customers when they come into the shop, and you can always call us and email as well if you're needing any help or advice. Now, if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, just remember to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on my next video, and I will see you next time. Bye.